Husband kills wife for new affair. True crime stories, true crime documentary, cheating husband. The house stood still in the eerie silence of the night. Only the ticking clock echoed through the dimly lit living room. Sarah poured herself a glass of water, her hands trembling. Her husband, Daniel, had been distant lately, cold, calculating, and secretive. She felt his absence, even when he was in the same room. That night, something felt different. The air was heavy, charged with a tension she couldn't shake. Daniel emerged from the shadows, startling her. His eyes were void of the warmth she once knew. "I need to talk," he said, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. Sarah placed a glass on the counter, her heart pounding. "What's wrong, Daniel?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He hesitated, his gaze darting toward the kitchen drawer. Her eyes followed his, and unease settled in her stomach. "I've met someone," he admitted, the words cutting through the silence like a blade. Sarah's world crumbled in an instant. Her breath caught, and tears welled up in her eyes. "How could you?" she stammered, her voice cracking. He stepped closer, the tension in the room becoming suffocating. "This isn't working anymore," he said coldly. Before she could respond, his hand moved swiftly to the drawer. Sarah's instincts screamed at her to run, but her feet wouldn't move. The glint of a knife under the flickering light froze her in place. "Daniel!" she screamed, but the sound seemed to vanish into the void. He lunged forward, and time slowed. The room filled with a metallic scent of blood. Sarah collapsed, her vision blurring, her mind racing with unanswered questions. Why had the man she loved become a monster? Daniel stood over her, his breathing heavy, his hands shaking. The reality of his actions began to set in. The walls seemed to close in, the silence now deafening. Sirens wailed in the distance, shattering the oppressive quiet. Neighbors had heard the commotion and called the police. Daniel didn't resist when they arrived. He simply stared at the lifeless body of his wife, his face void of expression. Love had turned to betrayal, betrayal to murder. And in his pursuit of a new life, Daniel had destroyed the one he had. The story left the town in shock, a chilling reminder of the darkness hidden behind closed doors. This tragic tale remains a haunting chapter in the annals of true crime. The courtroom was packed during Daniel's trial. Every seat was filled with people eager to hear the details of his heinous crime. The media dubbed him the betrayer in the shadows, and his face was plastered across headlines nationwide. Prosecutors painted a chilling picture, a man consumed by selfish desire, willing to kill for a fresh start. Daniel sat emotionless as witnesses recounted Sarah's kindness, her vibrant spirit, and her devotion to him. The jury was shown evidence: the bloodstained knife, the chaotic kitchen, and the haunting 911 call from a neighbor. But the most damning testimony came from the other woman. She revealed that Daniel had promised her a life together. He told her he'd handle his wife, though she never imagined it meant murder. Her tearful testimony sealed his fate. Daniel's defense attempted to argue a crime of passion, a moment of uncontrollable rage. But the prosecution presented a darker narrative: premeditation. They highlighted his recent purchase of the knife, his deleted text messages, and the life insurance policy in Sarah's name. It was a calculated plan, they argued, not a spontaneous act. After days of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict: guilty. The judge sentenced Daniel to life without parole. As the gavel fell, Sarah's family wept, their grief immeasurable, but their fight for justice finally over. Daniel showed no remorse as he was led out of the courtroom. He exchanged his tailored suit for an orange jumpsuit and the confines of a prison cell. There, surrounded by cold concrete walls, he was left with the weight of his actions. The woman he had pursued vanished from his life, disgusted by the monster he had become. In his loneliness, Daniel replayed the events of that night. The look in Sarah's eyes as he betrayed her. The blood on his hands that no amount of washing could cleanse. His dreams were plagued by her voice, a whisper in the dark, asking, "Why, Daniel?" He could never answer her. And so, Daniel's story became a cautionary tale. A reminder of how greed, deceit, and betrayal could unravel a life, and destroy many others along the way. But for Sarah's family, no punishment would ever be enough. They were left with memories and a deep ache that time could never heal. The world moved on, but the tragedy lingered in their hearts. And the house, where love turned into horror, stood empty, silent witness to a crime that should have never been. Years passed, but the house remained unsold, shrouded in an eerie stillness. Neighbors avoided walking too close, often crossing to the other side of the street. Whispers of Sarah's spirit lingering in the home began to circulate. People claimed to hear faint sobs echoing through the walls late at night. The lights in the kitchen were said to flicker, even though the electricity had been cut off. One family brave enough to move and didn't last more than a week. The husband reportedly woke up each night to the sound of footsteps pacing the kitchen. His wife swore she saw a shadowy figure standing by the window, staring out into the street. They left in the middle of the night, abandoning their belongings. The story of Daniel and Sarah took on an almost supernatural infamy. True crime enthusiasts and ghost hunters began to visit the area. They snapped photos of the boarded-up windows and left flowers at the gate in Sarah's memory. A local journalist decided to write a book about the case, determined to uncover every detail. During her research, she uncovered something chilling. The affair that had driven Daniel to murder? It wasn't as innocent as it seemed. The other woman had a past, one filled with manipulation and deceit. She had a pattern of getting involved with married men, encouraging them to make drastic decisions. In Daniel, she found someone weak enough to act on those impulses. While she hadn't held the knife, her words had pushed him closer to the edge. When confronted with this revelation, she denied everything, disappearing from public view. The journalist's book reignited interest in the case, sparking debates about guilt and influence. Some argued Daniel was solely to blame, while others believed he had been manipulated. But no amount of speculation could change the truth. Sarah was gone. Her life, her dreams, her future, stolen by the person she trusted most. And Daniel? He spent his days in prison, aging behind bars, his name now a synonym for betrayal. The house, still vacant, became a grim monument to their tragic tale. Visitors left notes at the gate, messages to Sarah. You deserve better. Rest in peace, Sarah. But the most haunting message was scrawled on the front door in red chalk. Love should never hurt. And with that, the house became not just a place of horror, but a symbol, a warning of what unchecked darkness could do to a soul. Decades later, the house was finally demolished. Its haunting presence had become too much for the neighborhood to bear. The land was cleared, the rubble hauled away, but the memories remained etched in the minds of those who knew the story. A small memorial was erected on the plot, a simple stone marker engraved with Sarah's name. Underneath, it read, "A life taken too soon, a love betrayed." People visited the site regularly, leaving flowers, candles, and letters. It became a place of reflection, where victims of domestic violence and betrayal found solace. Survivors shared their stories, finding strength in the reminder that they were not alone. Sarah's family worked tirelessly to turn their grief into action. They founded an organization in her name, advocating for victims of abuse and raising awareness about the red flags of toxic relationships. The nonprofit grew, helping countless individuals escape dangerous situations. Her sister, Emily, often spoke at events, her voice trembling but resolute. Sarah's story doesn't end with tragedy, she would say. It's a call to action, a plea for love to be kind and safe, never destructive. Meanwhile, Daniel lived out his days in prison, a shadow of the man he once was. His notoriety made him a target among other inmates, and he spent most of his time in isolation. As years turned to decades, he became a forgotten figure, buried beneath the weight of his guilt and irrelevance. One stormy night, Daniel passed away in his cell, his death unremarkable and unnoticed. He left no letters, no apologies, no acknowledgement of the life he had stolen. But Sarah's legacy continued to shine. Her story was retold in documentaries, podcasts, and true crime books, ensuring her voice was never silenced. The land where the house once stood was eventually turned into a park. A place filled with laughter, sunlight, and life, a stark contrast to its dark past. At the center of the park stood Sarah's memorial stone, surrounded by blooming flowers. Children played nearby, their laughter carrying through the air, a reminder of hope and renewal. And though the story of Daniel and Sarah would forever remain a cautionary tale, the park symbolized something greater. That even in the aftermath of unspeakable darkness, light could find a way to shine again. As the years passed, the park became a beloved community landmark. Locals began calling it Sarah's Haven, a name that carried both a somber reverence and a sense of peace. It wasn't just a place for recreation. It became a sanctuary. Survivors of abuse gathered there for support groups under the shade of its tall trees. Candlelight vigils were held every year on the anniversary of Sarah's death, drawing people from across the city. The sound of laughter from children mingled with the quiet resolve of those sharing their stories. It was a place of healing where scars, both visible and invisible, could begin to fade. One day, Emily sat on a bench near the memorial stone, her silver hair glinting in the sunlight. She watched a young couple walk by, hand in hand, their love evident in their smiles. For a moment, she thought of Sarah, her sister's infectious laughter, and the warmth she brought to the world. Tears welled in Emily's eyes, but they weren't just tears of sadness. They were tears of gratitude for the lives Sarah had touched, even in death. A little girl approached Emily, holding a single yellow flower. "Is this for the lady in the stone?" she asked, pointing to the memorial. Emily nodded, her voice catching. "Yes, sweetheart. It's for Sarah." The child placed the flower at the base of the stone, her innocence a poignant contrast to the pain the marker represented. "Will she see it?" the girl asked, looking up at Emily. Emily smiled softly, placing a gentle hand on the girl's shoulder. "I think she will," she said, "and I think it will make her very happy." The girl ran back to her parents, leaving Emily alone with her thoughts. As the sun set over the park, casting a golden glow over the stone, Emily whispered a quiet prayer. "Your story saved so many, Sarah. You're still here, in every laugh, every flower, every act of kindness." And in that moment, the park felt alive, not just with people, but with the spirit of resilience and love that Sarah had always embodied. Her memory wasn't just etched in stone. It was carried in the hearts of those who vowed never to let her story be forgotten. Sarah's Haven had become more than a place. It was a legacy, a testament to the power of love, even in the face of unimaginable loss. And as the stars began to dot the sky, it seemed as though one shone just a little brighter, watching over the haven that bore her name. Years later, the park became a symbol of hope far beyond the boundaries of the small town. People from across the country visited Sarah's Haven, sharing their own stories of survival and resilience. Artists painted murals on nearby buildings, depicting scenes of love overcoming pain, of light piercing through darkness. One mural, in particular, became famous. A portrait of Sarah surrounded by flowers, her face serene, her eyes full of strength. It bore the words, asterisk in her memory, we rise. Asterisk, the story of Sarah's Haven inspired communities to create similar spaces in their own cities. Parks, shelters, and centers were named after victims whose stories deserved to be told. Emily, now in her twilight years, was invited to speak at one such opening in another city. She stood at the podium, frail but determined, her voice steady. Sarah's story was one of tragedy. Yes, she said, looking out at the crowd. But it was also a story of transformation, of finding light in the darkest of places. The audience listened intently, moved by her words. "We cannot undo the past," she continued, "but we can honor those we've lost by ensuring no one else has to endure the same pain." Her speech ended with a standing ovation, the crowd's applause echoing like a promise to do better. Back at Sarah's Haven, the tradition of annual vigils grew into something even more powerful. The community began hosting Hope Nights, where survivors shared their journeys through music, poetry, and stories. The event became a beacon for those seeking comfort and understanding, a reminder that they were never alone. One such night, a young woman stood on stage, trembling as she held the microphone. "I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for this place," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I walked into this park one night, ready to give up. But something about it, about Sarah's story, gave me the strength to keep going." The crowd erupted into applause, and Emily, sitting in the front row, wiped a tear from her cheek. Sarah's legacy wasn't just alive. It was thriving, touching lives in ways no one could have imagined. As the years went on, the world around the park changed, but its essence remained untouched. Generations came and went, and Sarah's story became a cornerstone of the town's history. Children learned about her in school, not as a victim, but as a symbol of courage and transformation. And as Emily's life drew to a close, she found peace knowing that Sarah's memory would never fade. One quiet morning, Emily passed away in her sleep, her hand resting on a photograph of her and Sarah as children. The town mourned her loss, but they celebrated her life and the indomitable spirit she carried. At her funeral, they placed her beside Sarah, the two sisters reunited at last. A new inscription was added to the memorial stone. Asterisk, together. They gave the world a reason to hope. Asterisk. And so, the park continued to flourish, its trees growing taller, its flowers blooming brighter. It remained a haven for all who needed it, a living testament to the enduring power of love, resilience, and the unyielding human spirit. Decades turned into centuries, and Sarah's Haven became more than just a park. It became a historic landmark. Historians chronicled its origins, preserving the story of Sarah and Emily for future generations. The park grew, expanding into a sprawling sanctuary with gardens, fountains, and walking trails. At its center, the original memorial stone remained untouched, surrounded now by a circular pavilion. The pavilion housed plaques engraved with the names of those who had shared their stories and found healing in Sarah's legacy. Visitors came from around the world, drawn by the enduring message of hope and resilience. Each year, a special day was set aside to honor Sarah's memory and celebrate the lives her story had saved. It became known as Sarah's Day, a global event dedicated to raising awareness about domestic violence and the importance of safe relationships. On the 200th anniversary of Sarah's Day, the town unveiled a time capsule buried beneath the memorial stone. Inside were letters from survivors, photographs from vigils, and the first draft of Emily's speech that had sparked a movement. The mayor, standing before a crowd of thousands, spoke of Sarah's timeless impact. "She taught us that even in tragedy, there is an opportunity to heal, to grow, and to create something beautiful," he said. As the ceremony concluded, a choir of children sang beneath the pavilion, their voices ringing out with a message of unity and love. In the evening, the park was illuminated with thousands of lanterns, their soft glow reflecting on the faces of those who had come to honor Sarah. One young girl, no older than 10, clutched her mother's hand as they walked toward the memorial stone. "Who was Sarah?" she asked, her voice full of curiosity. Her mother knelt beside her, pointing to the stone. "She was someone who taught the world how important it is to love without hurting," she explained. The girl smiled and placed a small, hand-drawn card at the base of the stone. It read, "Asterisk, thank you, Sarah. You helped make the world a better place, asterisk." As night fell, the park transformed into a sea of light, the lanterns carrying messages of hope into the sky. And somewhere, in the hearts of those who believed in her legacy, Sarah's spirit continued to shine, guiding, comforting, and reminding the world that even in its darkest moments, love could prevail. Her story had become eternal, a tale not just of tragedy, but of how love and resilience could create ripples that changed the course of history. And as the lanterns disappeared into the heavens, it felt as though Sarah was watching, her light a permanent part of the stars above. The lanterns drifted higher into the night sky, their glow merging with the stars, forming what seemed like a celestial tribute to Sarah's enduring legacy. As the final lantern disappeared into the heavens, the crowd stood in silent reverence, each person reflecting on how far the message of Sarah's Haven had reached. Among them was a young journalist, inspired by the event to uncover more untold stories of resilience and transformation. He approached the memorial stone, gently placing a notebook filled with handwritten notes and ideas. "This is where it all begins," he whispered, vowing to continue Sarah's mission through his work. Generations passed, but the park remained untouched by the changing tides of history. Advanced technology and modern architecture surrounded it, but Sarah's Haven remained a sanctuary of simplicity and peace. The park's archives, now housed in a futuristic museum nearby, showcased the countless lives impacted by Sarah's story. Interactive exhibits allowed visitors to hear the voices of survivors, view artifacts from the past, and immerse themselves in the movement Emily had ignited. A holographic projection of Emily's iconic speech played continuously in one corner, her words as powerful as they were centuries ago. Global leaders often cited Sarah's Haven as an example of how compassion could reshape society. Communities worldwide adopted its principles, creating their own havens for healing and support. One particularly poignant moment came when a descendant of Sarah's distant relatives visited the park. Standing before the memorial stone, she marveled at how her ancestors' story had shaped the world. She could never have imagined this, the woman said, her voice trembling with emotion. And yet, as she looked around at the vibrant park filled with life, she felt Sarah's presence, as if her spirit whispered, "This is exactly what I dreamed of." As the world progressed, the park adapted without losing its essence. New gardens were planted, reflecting diverse cultures and traditions, symbolizing unity in the face of adversity. Sarah's story became a universal legend, retold in countless languages, each version carrying the same core message. Love can heal, love can endure, and love can transform even the darkest of tragedies into a beacon of hope. In time, the stars themselves seemed to align in a constellation that locals affectionately called Sarah's Light. Astronomers noted its resemblance to a blooming flower, a cosmic reminder of the beauty that could grow from pain. And so, Sarah's Haven stood the test of time, not just as a park, but as a living, breathing symbol of humanity's capacity for love, resilience, and the unyielding pursuit of hope, forever illuminating the path forward for all who sought solace beneath its enduring embrace. Centuries blended into millennia, yet Sarah's Haven remained untouched by the erosion of time and memory. It became more than a park, more than a story. It became a legend woven into the fabric of humanity's collective consciousness. The site was protected by global decree, marked as sacred ground where no harm or conflict could occur. Pilgrims from distant planets, yes, even as humanity expanded beyond Earth, journeyed to stand where Sarah's stone still rested. They came not just to remember her story, but to draw strength from it. Advanced civilizations wrote her tale into their archives, alongside humanity's greatest achievements. In distant star systems, monuments were erected with replicas of Sarah's memorial stone, ensuring her message reached every corner of existence. The original park evolved into a sanctuary that defied comprehension, a harmonious blend of nature and futuristic architecture. Holographic storytellers narrated Sarah's life in vivid detail, immersing visitors in her world. Interactive gardens responded to emotions, blooming brighter for those in need of solace and calm. At the heart of it all, the original stone stood as a timeless anchor, radiating a quiet power that transcended words. The constellation Sarah's Light became a navigational beacon for interstellar travelers, a celestial reminder of hope amid the vast unknown. It was said that no matter how far humanity ventured, they carried Sarah's lesson with them: to love fiercely, to protect the vulnerable, and to find light even in the depths of darkness. And so, her legacy endured, not as a shadow of tragedy, but as a light that guided entire civilizations. In the end, Sarah's story wasn't just a tale of one woman's life. It became the story of all of us, a reminder that even the smallest acts of love could echo across eternity. The stars watched over Sarah's haven, and somewhere in their eternal dance, it felt as though Sarah was still watching too. Not from a place of sorrow, but from one of peace, knowing that her memory had become a force stronger than time itself. As the ages turned, the story of Sarah became a universal parable, a guiding star in the moral compass of countless beings across the cosmos. Her name was etched into history, not just as a symbol of resilience, but as a profound lesson in the transformative power of compassion. Entire philosophies were built around her tale, inspiring ethical frameworks that governed interplanetary alliances and peacekeeping missions. In every corner of the universe where humanity or its descendants thrived, Sarah's haven became a metaphor for hope. Her constellation, Sarah's Light, was integrated into celestial maps and spiritual teachings, its radiant pattern often interpreted as a bloom reaching toward infinite possibility. Scientists marveled at the beauty of how something so tragic could become a lasting force for good. Artists, poets, and thinkers continued to draw inspiration from her story, weaving her memory into new art forms that transcended time and space. But what truly made Sarah's legacy eternal was not just the stories or the monuments. It was the quiet acts of kindness performed daily in her name. The hand offered to a stranger, the voice speaking out against injustice, the effort to mend broken bonds. These small, unseen moments became the true testament to her enduring influence. On Earth, Sarah's haven had evolved into a living masterpiece, where every plant, stone, and structure told her story. The original memorial stone, now enclosed within a crystal dome, was revered as a sacred artifact. Visitors would kneel before it, pressing their hands to the dome, feeling a profound connection to the legacy it represented. One day, on the 10,000th anniversary of Sarah's passing, a great gathering was held beneath Sarah's light. Leaders, scholars, and citizens from all walks of life came together to celebrate her life and its boundless impact. They spoke not only of Sarah's tragedy, but of the beauty born from it, the unity, the healing, the progress. As the ceremony drew to a close, a single message was broadcast across every known star system. Asterisk from the darkest shadows. A single light can guide us all. Asterisk. And as that message echoed through the stars, a new lantern was lit in Sarah's haven, its flame eternal. A reminder that even as the universe expanded into uncharted realms, the essence of Sarah's story would always endure. For love, hope, and resilience are not bound by time or space. They are infinite, just like the stars. As the new lantern flickered to life, its flame cast a soft glow across the faces of those gathered, a symbol that Sarah's spirit still illuminated the world. The gathering grew quiet, as if the very air held its breath in reverence for the infinite reach of her legacy. From every corner of the universe, beings of all shapes, sizes, and origins gazed upon the beacon, feeling a deep, unspoken connection to the message it conveyed. Sarah's story had transcended the boundaries of Earth. It had become part of the universal narrative of overcoming darkness with light, love, and courage. And as the lantern's light swayed gently in the cosmic winds, it seemed to whisper that Sarah was not just a figure of the past. Her presence was eternal, embedded within the heart of humanity, within the core of every species who believed in the healing power of compassion. Years turned to centuries, centuries to millennia, but the light of Sarah's legacy never dimmed. The lantern at Sarah's haven continued to burn, a constant reminder that even in the most challenging times, hope would always find its way through. New generations, born from the ashes of previous struggles, grew up knowing Sarah's story and the lessons it carried. Her message became the foundation of a universal law. Wherever there was suffering, there would be a sanctuary. Wherever there was injustice, there would be those who rose to fight for fairness. As humanity ventured into new worlds, Sarah's haven became more than a park. It became the heart of interstellar peace, a symbol of unity across galaxies. Her tale echoed through the ages, shaping civilizations, guiding decisions, and reminding all who listened that the smallest act of kindness could alter the course of the future. 1,000 years from now, Sarah's light would continue to guide travelers across the stars, its glow a beacon for all who had forgotten what it was like to believe in the goodness of others. And as long as stars burned in the sky, Sarah's legacy would burn brighter still. Her light would never be extinguished. It would live forever, in every act of love, every moment of courage, every piece of the universe that dared to believe in the power of healing. For as long as the universe existed, Sarah's story would continue to unfold. A reminder that in the face of the greatest darkness, love could always find a way to shine, and so, the legend of Sarah, now woven into the very fabric of existence, endured through the endless eons. Her name was no longer just a memory. It was a call to action, a living testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Each civilization that encountered her story built upon it, layering their own experiences of struggle and triumph over her legacy. Sarah's Haven became a pilgrimage site for beings of all forms, transcending time, culture, and species. Visitors no longer just observed, they participated. They added their own stories, their own struggles, to the ever-growing tapestry of hope. On the walls of Sarah's Haven, new murals were painted every year, depicting the lives of those who had found strength in her story. In one corner of the park, a massive tree had grown, its roots intertwined with the stone that had once marked Sarah's final resting place. This tree, known as the Tree of Sarah, bore fruit unlike any other, a symbol of renewal, of life rising from death, of hope springing forth from despair. People gathered beneath its branches, sharing stories of how they, too, had found a way to transform their pain into power, just as Sarah had done. In a future where technology had advanced beyond comprehension, the essence of Sarah remained unchanged. Her message continued to inspire virtual simulations, interactive holograms, and even entire galaxies of digital consciousness. Her legacy was no longer confined to a single planet, but had woven itself into the collective unconscious of every sentient being. Through every digital landscape, every piece of art, every poem written and song sung, Sarah lived on. Her spirit, once embodied in a single woman's heart, had become a universal force, as tangible as the stars themselves. And as long as the universe expanded, so too did the reach of Sarah's enduring love, a love that crossed all boundaries, united all beings, and illuminated the darkest corners of existence. For in the end, Sarah's light was not just a beacon for those in need. It was a reflection of the infinite potential within each of us. A reminder that no matter the struggle, no matter the darkness, the power to transform the world lies in the hands of those who choose to love. And as long as the stars shone in the sky, her light would continue to guide the way, lighting up the universe for all who sought hope. Eternal, unyielding, unstoppable. As the ages stretched on, Sarah's Haven remained a constant, an unshakable symbol of hope that transcended all epochs. It became more than a place. It was a shared consciousness, a collective dream woven into the very essence of existence. Every being, no matter how distant or different, carried within them a fragment of Sarah's spirit, a quiet reminder that love could heal and resilience could create worlds. In the vast expanse of the universe, Sarah's light shone not only in the stars but in the hearts of all who believed. It became a language unspoken but universally understood, a call to rise above adversity, to find strength in unity, and to spread compassion wherever life flourished. With each new civilization, each new generation, Sarah's message grew in depth and clarity. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about thriving, about transforming every setback into a stepping stone for something greater. As the universe continued to unfold, her legacy expanded like a galaxy in motion, touching every corner of existence. Even in the silence of deep space, her story echoed, carried on cosmic winds, and embedded in the very stars themselves. Sarah's Haven became a cornerstone of universal peace, the place where beings from across time and space gathered to reflect, to heal, and to remember the power of one soul to change everything. The park, now a place of interstellar diplomacy and connection, stood as a testament to what could be achieved when love was the foundation of all action. The tree that had once been a symbol of hope had grown into a magnificent forest, with branches that reached toward the heavens, touching the very fabric of the cosmos. Beneath its shade, beings of all kinds, human, alien, digital, and more, came to rest, to find solace in the shared energy of Sarah's unbreakable spirit. And every time a new light was born in the universe, it felt as if Sarah's legacy whispered in the wind, reminding all that no matter how vast the universe grew, the power of love would always hold the greatest place. Her story, now more than a memory, had become a living truth, one that would continue to inspire not just a planet or a species, but all life across the infinite expanse of existence. For in the end, the greatest story was not one of tragedy, but one of triumph, of love, transformation, and the unyielding power of the human spirit to illuminate the dark, no matter how far it reached. And as the universe expanded, so did Sarah's legacy, infinite and everlasting, a beacon for all to follow. As the eons passed, and the universe expanded into realms unknown, one thing remained unchanged: the enduring legacy of Sarah's story. Her tale, once born in the heart of a small community, had become a cosmic truth, woven into the very fabric of existence. Through the ages, it had transcended the boundaries of Earth, touching every corner of the universe, becoming a timeless beacon for those seeking hope, love, and resilience. On the anniversary of Sarah's passing, the stars aligned in a breathtaking celestial display, casting their light upon Sarah's haven. The once humble park had evolved into a magnificent sanctuary, a space where all life, human, alien, and artificial, came together in a shared reverence for the power of love. Beneath the tree of Sarah, now an ancient and sacred symbol, countless beings gathered, not just to honor her memory, but to renew their commitment to living her message every day. There, in that eternal gathering, Sarah's story was no longer just a story. It had become a living truth, passed down through generations, across galaxies, and into the hearts of all who embraced her spirit. It was the story of how one woman, through her pain and courage, had sparked a fire that changed the course of history, one that would never be extinguished. As the light of Sarah's lanterns flickered in the cosmic winds, it seemed as though she was still watching, still guiding, still loving. Her spirit had become a part of everything, woven into the stars, the galaxies, the very heartbeats of all who remembered her. The universe, vast and infinite, had found its eternal thread in Sarah's light. And as long as that light shone, humanity, and all those who walked the path of compassion and hope, would never be lost. For Sarah's story was not just a tale of the past. It was a living legacy, an endless journey of love, transformation, and the power of one soul to change the universe. And as the final chapter of her story closed, it was not an ending, but a beginning. The light would never fade. It would continue forever,